Stress. Overcoming real-life issues with God. Dr. Stephen Haymon, Doctor of Education. Carpenter's Son Publishing. Preface. Stress has been a word that has been used almost daily by most people. People are stressed on their jobs, in their relationships, about money, regarding illnesses, about their children, and concerning their life's circumstances. Yet the perception seems to be that stress is something minor, that will not have a harmful effect on most people. However, this perception is far from the truth. Stress can affect all of us in multidimensional ways, including mentally, emotionally, physically, and most certainly, spiritually. Whether we buy into this concept or not, our life's circumstances can exacerbate our stress levels to the point of literally killing us. People can become suicidal or homicidal because of the intensity of stress. We have examples of this manifestation in Fort Hood, Texas, with an Army major killing other soldiers, Denver, Colorado, with a young man shooting and killing many people in a crowded theater, and Boston, Massachusetts, where young men blew up a marathon race. These examples are among other well-known incidents where people in depressive states felt it was rational to kill or mutilate innocent people. Furthermore, while stressing, individuals can increase their drinking and/or drug usage to the point of promoting the onset of various opportunistic diseases such as cancer, strokes, heart attacks, viruses, colds, diabetes, and a host of life-threatening conditions. In fact, the people in this country have experienced so many levels of stress from all that has been happening the last few years that they have turned to hurting themselves, spouses, family members, and even innocent children. Religious people make the statement, "I am too blessed to be stressed," as though going to church automatically exempts them from stress. Please be apprised that only going to church does not necessarily mitigate the effects of stress. In fact, attending church could increase stress levels simply because the attendees can be so miserable that consciously or subconsciously they can work to superimpose their misery upon others. This can happen especially when people in power want to feel better at the expense of other parishioners. However, if religious people, not spiritually mature individuals, really studied the scriptures, they would understand all of God's chosen were exposed to stress, and yes, they reacted to its crippling effects. This book highlights some of the stress of Abraham, the father of the faith, King David, the man after God's heart, Elijah, the prophet who called fire and rain from the skies, the Apostle Peter, the man who people were healed by, allowing his shadow to be cast upon them, the Apostle Paul, the servant who establishes multiple churches through his missionary work, and Jesus Christ, who gave us salvation through his death. Stress, overcoming real-life issues with God, highlights their stressors and the tools they used to help them overcome the grasp of their life's situations. In my 43 years of clinical practice, I have often heard people tell me they have retired. Therefore, they have no other stressors in their life. Their point made is most of their stress stemmed from the work environment. Part of that statement is true because of working with other individuals, accomplishing the demands of the job, and especially working for supervisors and managers who may have imposed upon their supervisees plenty of their stressful and unresolved childhood issues. In fact, they may be extremely good at performing certain tasks, which may be how they were elevated to management. However, because they never worked through their childhood issues, they may exhibit boundary issues, discrimination toward others they don't understand, sexual harassment, because they perceive their position entitled them to be able to force themselves upon their subordinates, or just power tripping, because most of their lives they have felt others govern their lives and now have the opportunity to exert their power. In other words, they had never developed the people skills needed to help motivate others. Therefore, working 8 to 10-hour days under these individuals can and have caused great duress for many under their commands, even if the people enjoyed working their particular jobs. Nonetheless, whether we are interfacing with others in our jobs, in stores, while driving, in churches, or perhaps dealing with spouses, children, or other family members, their interactions carry with them intense stress. Why? Because we're innately selfish creatures who want our way most of the time, and we don't mind imposing upon others to get our heart's desires. Further, retirement carries with it transitional issues such as deflated status, declining power and influence, decreased income, and issues such as what to do with our time now that we have left the workforce. So how do individuals cope with such big losses? Many have resorted to self-defeating behaviors such as drug addiction, overeating, alcohol abuse, compulsive gambling, sex and pornography addiction, and a host of other self-destroying behaviors. Are our elderly exempt from the stress that emanates from circumstances of life? We know the answer is absolutely no, because our elderly are more prone to the grasp of stress than most. We know they struggle with acceptance of who they are today, as opposed to who they once were when they were young and vibrant. Will a great windfall of money exempt its recipients from the clutches of stress? We have seen the number of people who have won the lotteries and wish they'd never received their great sums of money because of the agony the money has brought. Why? Their money brought about stress of many friends, relatives, and opportunistic businesses which attempted to tap into their resources. Their only reason for forging a relationship was strictly to exploit the recipient of their wealth. Read what has been said about the number of individuals who go broke after they've won the lotteries. Stress, Overcoming Real-Life Issues with God, is a resource that empowers its readers to view their life circumstances and not get sucked into depression by them. The principles used within the pages of this audiobook are God-breathed, biblical scriptures. Therefore, they help guide its readers to peace, contentment, and maturity within the midst of their life's storms. It was designed to help people establish healthy boundaries, find healthy love, understand God's thoughts, avoid distractions that can only worsen their stress level, understand the uniqueness of self, and develop an overall healthier perspective of life. Please sit back and enjoy reading about how to overcome life's stressors and become equipped to grow from them using biblical principles. Members of the professional communities, Christians, laity, members of the military, and couples can utilize the information presented in this audiobook. There are many questions presented within this audiobook that individuals would ask God and/or an adroit clinician, and the questions are vividly answered. Be blessed as you listen to each page. Dr. Stephen Haymon, Doctor of Education, psychotherapist, consultant, and author.